Disappointing one. Very disappointing tonight, this game. Feel free to call in. 617-779-0985. I have a lot of thoughts on this one. Nothing to do with, are we going to do the Browns better than Tatum thing tonight? Are we going to do that, Cerrone?
I don't think so.
Do people want to really go there?
I doubt it.
Because is it true though? Right. Like I've heard, it's been tough to listen to the last couple of days. Turnovers. Their two best players had turnovers. It was a problem. I want to say, and I just looked it up a little while ago, but points off turnovers tonight. Orlando at 26, Boston at 8. That's the difference.
Yep.
And I have a lot of other things on it, but besides the turnovers, what were your takeaways from tonight?
Oh man, that's the key. And it was the style of turnovers. I think Jason Tatum, his turnovers usually came with overpassing. He had times where he had drives to the lane where he should have been trying to dunk it. The most notably is the one he tried to kick it to Hauser and he threw it right to KCP and he had a lane to the basket. The one he threw out of bounds that he thought was tipped. It was always overpassing with Tatum instead of just being aggressive and trying to get to the basket, especially when he had them in foul trouble. And Jalen's was the ones that he can easily avoid, and that's him bringing the ball up and trying to over dribble against these smaller, great defensive guards that they have. And that's just not his strength. That was the thing that had everybody talking about his left hand a couple years ago. That's not his strength, and he kind of played right into that again tonight, as opposed to being the off-the-ball guy, catch and shoot, star that he was in game 2. But just over dribbling from him and overpassing from Tatum. And the other big thing for me is the lack of production from Hauser and Pritchard tonight. I mean, you got more fouls than points out of those two guys, and that's not a good recipe. But all that being said, they had their chances. They should have still won this game even with the turnovers, but you hit it right on. The turnovers were the difference in this game.
Turnovers, bench, coaching. Those are my three things. Yeah. I had a problem with Mazzulla, and I would like to hear him before I crush him for it. Mm-hmm. No Jaylen Brown late. I know he was in foul trouble, but don't you want him on the floor? And they went with Pritchard, who gave you nothing tonight. Mm-hmm. How about defensively? Like, how many times did Franz Wagner cook Kristaps Porzingis? Happened a couple of times in that game. So, that happened. Remember the Houston game earlier this year? There's a couple of times when they're down a player or their rotation and guys aren't there, they seem to have these weird defensive breakdowns. Yeah. And it happened there. My other issue was they didn't foul down 2. Mm-hmm. They ended up getting the ball with a chance. And then when they got the ball back, I had two options. I was asking the guys, I go, what do you do? Do you throw it up to Porzingis and try to get 2? Or do you go for the 3 on the road? Well, Tatum's wide open. White never looked for him. He looked at Porzingis the entire time.
He looked like he was over there clapping too, like no one's defending me. But it's weird. I would have, in that situation, for one, I don't know why I didn't go back and look at the time. I could have sworn it was way more than 0.3 when they got that, and they got that ball and called timeout. But also, I would have put, if you were just going to throw it up at the rim, I wouldn't have had any of my smaller guys in the game. I would have had, Cornette, Porzingis, Kaner, and Jason Tatum all standing in the paint. And would have just threw it the way he threw it up off the rim, and hopefully you get a tap because the ball don't start until someone touches it. The clock doesn't start. Excuse me. I've got all my bigs in there, and I'm just throwing it toward the rim. But it just didn't work out. But they shouldn't have been in that situation. They had their chances. You can't turn that ball. And the other big thing, Joe, they had Orlando in foul limit with 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and they were driving and kicking. Jaylen Brown did it like 3 times in a row. It's like, dude, just keep going to the basket, and you're just going to get easy free throws, and you're going to win this game. And they kind of were reluctant with it until 2-3 minutes left, and they kind of made their run and made their free throws. But they should have been attacking the paint the whole fourth quarter and put serious pressure on Orlando and got those stars in foul trouble. And he might have got Pinkero out of there. The dude had 4 fouls forever. So I think their lack of aggression in the fourth quarter also burned them too and put them in a bad spot.
I've been complimenting Joe Mazzulla on halftime adjustments. Didn't happen tonight. Mm-hmm. They have 11 points in the third quarter on 17% shooting. They went 3 of 17, 1 of 8 from 3. They had 6 turnovers in that in that quarter alone. The Magic took the lead. They were down by 10 points. They went on a 16-3 run in the game, and really, Tatum was on the floor the entire quarter.
Yeah.
So that was interesting to me. And then Porzingis missed 6 of his first 9 shots. He's struggling from 3 right now. The isolation layups I mentioned from Franz Wagner late in the game. Concerning. I'm not concerned for the series. I'd hate to see it get extended. They missed Drew Holiday tonight, but if I'm being real, they blew the game tonight. They blew it.
They did.
They blew it.
Yeah, the turnovers, man. They're bad turnovers. You lose by 2 points and you have 21 turnovers to their 14. That's unacceptable. I mean, there's a lot of little things that they didn't do. I think Porzingis is caught up in I wouldn't say a matchup nightmare, but defensively they're getting up under him and then making it hard on him. He did have a few ISO attempts down on the block where he just kind of blew it.
He missed one. It was, I think, the tie of the game too. Remember, if you remember, there might have been like maybe 2 or 3 minutes left, but he got there was a bad foul where he got a free throw. Then they got the ball out of bounds. They threw it right inside to him. I don't know what was that, like a hook shot. I don't know what
it was like, and he's like slammed his hands together because he knew he threw up a brick. It was like one of the most efficient, shooters down on that block, and he just doesn't have it against his team. I don't know if he's thinking about it or whatever. And if he gets going and plays an average game, Orlando has no shot. But he's just been off, and Wagner and Banchero, they've been getting their 25, 27 shots a game. They're not shooting a super high percentage, but they're doing just enough. And I said the other day, I wonder what's going to happen when they both go cold, but they're not going cold. They're making their shots. And they're tough shots for the most part. But, I mean, you had your chances. You should have won this game. You can't be turning it over like that. A lot of just bonehead plays here or there. But I thought, you talking about Mazzulla, I think one thing that he should have been doing in that third quarter, the whole timeout situation we always talk about with him, when they came out walking that whole third quarter, and you see up and down social media, everybody's pointing out there was no movement. They were just standing around, ISO ball, kind of like they had the game in the bag. And I think instead of letting them go on a 18-3 run or whatever it was, when they made 2 or 3 quick buckets, should have called a quick timeout. Come on, guys, get it back together here. Let's not let this thing fall apart. Instead, it went from them being up 10 to being down 9 or whatever it was after Tatum hits the 3, and there was never any sense of urgency until they really had to fight for it in the fourth quarter. But I think there could have been adjustments made 2-3 minutes into that third quarter and kind of slowed them down and killed their momentum. But you let the crowd come alive, who all of a sudden got louder than the Celtic fans that were in the building, and you were fighting the uphill battle from that point on.
The only thing that I don't like tonight is the turnovers crept back in for both Tatum and Brown. Something we didn't see a lot of last year. Yeah, and I don't want to credit Orlando. No,
you give it to them. This is one of the best defenses in the league. I mean, you get by them. There's not going to be a defense left that's as good as they are. That's the silver lining in all this. This is the most physical team you're probably going to see.
Give me another guy besides Wagner and Banchero.
Oh, offensively, nothing. That's it.
That's what I mean. They're losing.
That's it.
They're losing to those two guys.
Yeah,
and they had a great night. Like you would think. I don't know what happened to Brown second half. Maybe it was the fouls. Maybe that's what it was. They had no replacement for him. Pritchard did nothing.
Yeah,
literally nothing.
19 minutes or so, he didn't do anything.
But the Tatum turnovers, fine. Like, he's coming back. He's been dealing. He missed a game. He went to the free throw line. I'll at least give him that. He went 12 for 12 from the free throw line tonight. And that's something that it's funny. Jake, who's with us tonight, mentioned how the Celtics aren't playing any transition. Well, we mentioned last game when they were getting stopped on the transition, they were starting to go to the line. To your point, I don't know why they went away from that late in the game.
Yeah, it was there. They were in, I want to say 9-10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They were already over the limit. I'm like, this should be a parade to the foul line. And they're making their free throws. They were coming off. Brown had a head of steam a few times going to the basket, got in the paint, and then he kicked it out. And they had to settle for tough shots instead. It's like, man, they were giving you, they were trying to take away the threes. Orlando was all the way out on the 3-point line. And that's how you see Tatum get the and one. He got by Wagner. There was nobody there. He gets the and one layup. Jaylen Brown, I think, gets a layup late after he gets by. Derek White got a couple easy buckets in the paint where the defense was so far out. Once he beat his man, it was a layup. That was there the whole fourth quarter, but they didn't attack that until late when they had to make their run, when they went on a big run to get back in it. But if they had been doing that from the 10-minute mark, Orlando had no answers for that. And they were already in foul trouble. And Ben Carroll, since the first half, he was already playing with his hands up, like, I'm not getting any more fouls tonight. And they just stopped attacking it. And I think that's where they lost that game. They still would. I know they had the turnovers. Brown and Tatum would turn it over like crazy. They had the issues with the bench. They still had their chances to win that game in the fourth quarter, and they just had a lot of lapses late that kind of threw them off and kind of blew it. But yeah, they hopefully they can see that on film and watch a lot of film. Probably the worst offensive game they played all season, but hopefully they can see those things and attack that defense that's taking away the three but giving you the layup. You got to get to the rim.
All right, I know a lot of people want to react to this. We have this game. We have the draft going on. Patriots made 2 selections. They've also traded twice. So when we have more on that, we'll certainly let you know. Let's take a call before we hit the break. Tom's in Quincy. Hey, Tom.
One of the big runs to get back in. But if they haven't been doing that on the 10,
yo, you're on the air, bud.
Oh, what's up, man? Yo, you guys' hold has people listening to 96.9. I was jamming. Yo, dude, I think the players did themselves no favors. They made a ton of mistakes, but I feel like the coach did them no favors either. I mean, Mazzulla missed key points tonight, and really, I'm kind of disappointed with his maturity. He really needs to learn how to work the refs. And even with that last play of the game, like, why isn't he yelling to, look at the clock again? Like, he needs to be better than he is. And ultimately, like, obviously the players win championships. The coaches just have to help. But he sometimes just, he fails in key moments, and I worry about that. I also worry about games like this. Like, this is a tough team. They're better than a 7th seed, like, on paper. And frankly, like, I feel like a game like this opens us up to more injury. And I think this could be a domino effect for later on in the playoffs, assuming we make it through. So honestly, I think Mazzulla needs to hurry up and wake up, smell the coffee, and be better, dude. Like, work the refs, because we were getting bullied around and we had no answer for it. Honestly, we need to put Cornette out there and rough them up a little more. I mean, Porzingis was getting bodied all night. Like, put out...
I'm not worried. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, Tom. I just... Turnovers. Don't drive to the basket and then kick it out and get stolen. Just don't. I'm not worried, Cerrone. I'm not. But I know you're going to credit Orlando.
No, not all the way.
No. I think that when they I thought the Celtics were tapping out at one point. I think they went down double digits, and I go, yep, they don't have it tonight. And then, 6-point game and one by Tatum makes it a 3-point game, right? And then they it's just they're better, they're more talented. It just I was frustrated late though. I will give them credit for getting one-on-one Wagner versus Porzingis. It happened twice, and there was a play where Derek White, they reviewed it. They said the ball hit his head when he was out of bounds. Yeah,
that was a weird one. I didn't agree with it. I thought, the Wendell Carter, I thought he was standing out of bounds with the ball in his hand. But maybe they saw it differently. I thought the Ben Carroll play with the half-court backcourt situation, they were looking to see who knocked the backcourt, but the one thing they never checked, it was already 16 seconds before he even got to the line. It should have been an 8-second violation. But they never even looked at that. They were looking to see who knocked it over, and the time at the end of the game. I don't want to put this one on the refs, but I think the Celtics shot themselves in the foot. They had their moments, they had their opportunities, and like you said, you don't want to give Orlando too much credit, because I'm not saying Orlando forced a turnover when Jason Tatum beats his man and has a wide open lane to the basket and decides to throw it out to the 3-point line with KCP standing right there to intercept it. Did KCP force that, or did Jason Tatum turn down an easy layup to try and steal 3 points in the opportunity? And I think that's where they lost the game, and that's where they shot themselves in the foot.
All right, feel free to react to it. It wasn't pretty, and I'm not going to sit here all night and tell you that. Orlando did this, and that. I think the Celtics beat themselves tonight. I do think there was some coaching errors late in the game, and well, it's the same old story. When they lose, generally it's them. It's not the other team. I think that's exactly what happened tonight. We'll get a look at the headlines here. We have more with Cerrone Battle. We got our eyes on the NFL draft, too. Barth wants to call in at some point, so we'll reunite you guys from the Sunday football show, and we can react. But Celtics lose tonight. Series now 2-1. We'll get the headlines here. I'm Joe Murray, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines, presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Celtics lose 95-93 tonight. They had a chance at the end of the game, missed the shot, led by 36 points, and Jason Tatum, 39 minutes, 12 of 12 from the free throw line. But it was all Franz Wagner and Paulo Banchero. Jaylen Brown did not play most of the fourth quarter, had 19 points. Derek White had 16. Game 4, Sunday in Orlando. Patriots select running back Travion Henderson from Ohio State in the second round. 42 career touchdowns for the Buckeyes, won a national championship. They do have 2 other selections. back here at 98.5 The Sports Hub. Joe Murray, Cerrone Battle here. We're going to do some draft stuff in a bit, probably in the next hour. Maybe we'll hear from Barth. He texted me, so I know he's doing a bunch of stuff. Cerrone, let me just read you this tweet that I got.
Okay.
I'm not having it tonight. You know how you just have one of those nights? I'm having one of those nights when it comes to the Celtics. This is what I got. Dude, Tatum sucked at the end of this game. When it truly mattered, the last 2 minutes of the game, he always turtles. You like to say he's clutch, but check out his stats in the last minutes of a game. He's atrocious. And stop using the 5-minute mark to determine clutch. Well, it's a stat. It's a stat, and he's the best. So I don't know what to tell you. But my comeback was Brown didn't even play late in the game. So if you want to do the Tatum versus Brown, Brown's a playoff performer.
Brown was on the bench.
Tatum's not. Where was Brown? I can't do it tonight. But please, just will you explain to this man what happened late in the game, please?
There's a few things. Well, for one, you wouldn't have been in the game if it wasn't for Tatum. They had to keep fouling this man at the 3-point line in order to save themselves. But at the he gets a big layup on Banchero. He gets the foul a couple times. They fouled him on the 3-point line. He makes all of his free throws, 12 for 12 from the foul line, whatever it is. He's out there rebounding the ball again. Yes, he turned it over, but without Jason Tatum's fourth quarter, you aren't in this game. Like you said, it looked like the team kind of quit a little bit. Everybody did but him. And down the stretch of that game. And he kept them in it. He made some plays. Not only the key sequence. He gets the and one. He gets fouled shooting the threes. Shooting the three. He makes all 3 free throws. They double team him on the low block. He hits Al Horford for the 3.
Exactly.
They score like 9 points in 1 minute, and he was responsible for all 9 of the points.
He literally facilitated the 9 points. You're right. He did.
In 1 minute. And got you right back in the game in 1 minute.
Why do we always have to do this, Cerrone? Why?
I have no idea.
But you know what I mean? Like, again, there are these people who just think that when we give analysis, it's screen teaming.
Yeah.
Did that not happen? Were they down 6 points? He got an and one, hit 3. They stopped him, and then he passed it to Horford further. Yeah. Like, all that happened. They were literally losing the game, and Grandy said it on the broadcast, they're letting go of the rope.
Yeah.
Which why are we always doing this though? Why is it every time they lose the game? And by the way, Tatum didn't even get the shot late in the game.
Right. He was open too. He he got himself wide open in the corner and would have probably won the game if Derek White would have saw him standing there. If he would have got it off in time, yet to be seen. But you might have had a better opportunity. Tatum wide open for a quick one in the corner than the Porzingis in traffic on the last play. So I mean, it was a weird situation, but I'm not putting this game and saying, well, you lost this game because of Tatum. He set the tone early. You wouldn't have been in this game if it wasn't for Jason Tatum early on in this one. That kind of was the only one that had it going for the most part. When Jaylen Brown was really struggling early in the game, he kept you in it when Orlando was constantly running it, had you up the whole time. Tatum was the reason you was able to push it to a 10-point game. They go on their run. Tatum was the reason you was able to come back from being down 9-10 points in the fourth quarter. So I'm not going to sit here and say, well, he didn't do anything in the last 30 seconds. So since he almost forced the key turnover at half court on Banchero,
yes,
that would have completely changed the outlook of this game.
God,
it was so many things he was involved in, but I'm not putting this one on him. When I saw the 6th man of the year have 3 fouls and no points,
how is it? Again, I get it. It's frustrating me because we talked about this the other night when they won game 1 and Tatum had 17 points and they won by double digits. You didn't see SGA get crap. You didn't see Anthony Edwards get crap, right? Mm-hmm. Tonight, he plays when he was doubtful. Played how many minutes? 39 minutes tonight. I bet his 40 points, rebounds, and assists. So thank you. I hit that one tonight. But I just want to these are facts, Cerrone, and maybe you know this, because Skaz, I feel like we should put this on a T-shirt. When it comes to clutch shots, clutch performers in the history of the NBA playoffs, Jason Tatum is third all time. All time. Behind who? Behind who? Dirk Nowitzki and Tim Duncan.
That's good company.
And it's not me with that opinion.
All right, these are factual stats.
It's the actual factual. What was TLC's line? That's actual and factual.
Factual.
You know, it's literally facts. I don't know what to tell anybody anymore. I don't even know. And it's just, again, you guys are just defending Tatum. You're defending. Okay. I don't know why he didn't get the ball late. That's on Mazzulla. I'm sure they drew it up that way.
Yeah.
While we're at it, Porzingis after the game tonight took accountability. It stings, he says. I have to take accountability is what he said. I played like S is what he said. So he had a bad night. Only thing I'll say about Porzingis is when he plays like this, he always bounces back. So I'm going to bet on him to have a big game in the next game.
Yeah, I think he'll have a big game. I think they got to continue to get him the ball, on that low block. Find a way of, if you want to try to soften up the Orlando's defense, then if you're going to spread them out, put them in the high pick and roll the whole time, and try and get them going that way. And that way, Brown and Tatum will have clearing the lanes to get to the basket by spreading them out, because Wendell Carter is just kind of hanging on that block. He's just rebounding. He's being aggressive in the paint, and you're not really pulling him away from the basket. If you can pull those guys away from the basket with Porzingis, I hate this with the 3-point thing, but I think he'll get cleaner threes than he is getting those post plays that he's struggling with against his team. Get him out on that 3-point line, space the floor with him and Horford this time, and allow Tatum and Brown to be the guys on the low block where they have a clear advantage over the wings in Orlando. And I think Porzingis will get going that way. The same way, Horford hit that 3 from Tatum. When they drop down, because Tatum has a mismatch on that block, when they drop down, have Tatum kick out to the wide open, Porzingis that way, see if he can get going from the 3-point line. But I think he will bounce back. I think he'll have a decent game. And you don't need him to get 30. You just need him to be average. That's all you need from him. Just be average on the glass, block some shots, be disruptive, and be a little more physical on some of those drives, like you mentioned late in the game against Wagner. But I think Porzingis will bounce back. I expect Tatum to continue to get his thing. I think they were kind of predicting where Tatum was going to go a little bit on some of those drives early on, but I think his size eventually took over and he started getting layups, and that was all she wrote for them. But, yeah, I mean, I expect more from the role players in Game 4 than I seen tonight. Hauser eventually has got to get one to go. He's got to get to the foul line or something. They got to get Hauser going, and it'll open everything else up for that bench.
All right. Well, I just had a longtime listener tell me that the Jason Tatum debate is approaching Deflategate status. So thank you for keeping it real, Jeff, who's always listening. Because it is. You're right. It's
yeah. It's like everybody in the country thinks he's one of the great players of all time, except for in Boston. It's like, yeah, but he's not Peyton Pritchard. But I don't know where it comes from. I don't know what games they'd be watching. The dude had 36 points, perfect from the free throw line. Had to take 12 of them, 40% from 3 against a team that doesn't let anybody shoot 40% from 3. On the road in Orlando, a tough place for them to play. And it's like the first thing people do is say, well, it's his fault they didn't win. I don't understand it.
The turnovers I'll give you, but I think I think he was rusty, and I'm not making excuses.
Yeah,
that crept
got to be better with the ball.
It crept back up again. This is something we thought that they eliminated, and both Tatum and Brown it popped up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk to Robert. Who wants to get in? What's up, Robert?
Oh, hi.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm all right.
So enjoying the show, fellas. 2 things. One is I don't think you should be ragging on Peyton and Hauser. They never run any plays for them. Pritchard didn't get a 3 tonight. He stood in the corner because it was too much iso ball.
No, he dribbled and turned the ball over with the traffic.
One time at the end.
Yeah, at the end. With Jaylen Brown on the bench. That was a big play.
It was a big play, but you can't rag on the guy.
Why? We can't rag on Pritchard when he turns the ball over, but we're just going to crap all over Tatum?
No, you ride Joe for not setting any screens.
I've already rode him. I'm riding everybody.
Huh?
The Derby's next week. I'm riding all the horses today, buddy.
Yeah.
They all suck tonight. But I just can't. The Tatum hate I can't do right now.
Yeah, no Tatum hate from me. Anyway, I think there's one big issue with this fucking rug.
Dummy up. Dump.
Easy.
Yeah, we got it. Scaz got it.
No, but to the Carlos point, now, I mean, I disagree that they didn't run nothing for him. They ran the same stuff they run for him all season. The same stuff they ran that got him 6 man of the year, they were running tonight. He couldn't get free. He couldn't shake free. He turned it over. He got in the paint. He turns it over. That was the one late. But he got himself caught under the basket a couple of times. They were putting ball pressure on him where he couldn't get free. He couldn't get the space he normally does. He creates space. He uses his body to kind of get that step back jumper going. They weren't going for it. And you kind of seen Orlando players not really laughing, but they were kind of taking joy in taking him out of it. They were treating him like an all-star. They were treating Peyton Pritchard. You're the 6 man of the year. We're going to treat you like that. We're going to put ball pressure on you and get the ball out of your hands. Played 19 minutes tonight. He barely can get shots up. And it's not like they weren't running stuff for him. He had the ball. He had his opportunities. He was bringing the ball up. But he struggled against that pressure defense. And look, this is what Orlando does. Their guys aren't skilled offensively, but they're physical. They play hard. They play like a college team. They bring it defensively. And they were all over the Pritchard and Hauser every time they would touch the ball because they know they're lethal shooters, so they don't give them space. We're going to give you lanes to drive, and you got to make layups. And they look kind of uncomfortable and unsure of themselves, how to get free. But I think the longer the series goes on, I think Pritchard and Hauser will eventually find their space. But it's up to the other guys. The other guys are making their shots. It's not about them running plays for them. If they're making their shots, the defense will collapse, and then you kick out to Pritchard and hit those threes. They didn't run a bunch of plays for Pritchard in game one. Guess what? He would have had 19 points or whatever it was. He found a way to get points in game one. He has to figure out a way to get points in game two as well, in game three as well.
Cerrone, I'm going to just tuck this one aside tonight. I think they blew the lead. They had a chance to come back. They turned the ball over way too much. Porzingis was a no-show. Pritchard was a no-show, and they were without Drew Holiday, which was pretty big. And I think the coach at times, well, he tried to not foul late. Maybe it worked, but it killed all the time on the clock to set up the final shot. So, yeah. They blew it.
Yeah.
Take the L. I just can't do the Tatum thing tonight, though. I can't do it. No, I can't because Cerrone, I feel like this is the only place here this at night here. It's not that I'm protecting Jason Tatum. I don't know. There were a lot of games. And here I go using the Patriots analogy now. I'm crossing sports. Patriots lost a lot of games. It wasn't Tom Brady's fault, right? They lost a lot of good big games. It wasn't always. Sometimes it was, but everybody. When Tatum plays when he shouldn't have, and Brown. Everyone says, "Oh, he's so much better than Tatum," and then doesn't play even in the fourth quarter. It bothers me. And to your point, they were in the game because of him.
Yeah, they were in the game. And Jaylen Brown coming off probably his best playoff game of his career the other night. You expected a whole lot more from him, and he really he had his stretches, but he was off. He was, this has been the Jaylen Brown story. He'd give you 30 one night, and then.
Yeah.
Goes missing the next. It's inconsistent. The thing that makes a superstar is it's consistent. He's there every night. If you want to criticize Jason Tatum of any game in the series, do it in game one. Mm-hmm. That was the one where he was poor from the field, whatever. Even though he was a plus 23, he rebounded better than anybody on the floor and moved the ball. But he was off that night. Mm. But tonight, he was making his shots. He was getting everything. He was getting to the basket. He was getting to the foul line, things we always want him to do. He was making his free throws. He was getting shots for other people. Kind of overpassed today. He was doing too much to get Pritchard the ball and Hauser. He forced turnovers trying to get those other guys going, whereas he might have had stretches in that where he kind of should have been selfish. Where he got in the paint, where he should have took shots, tried to get to the line more, try and get layups. But I think his unselfishness now, trying to get the other guys going and get the three-point shot going is kind of what led to his turnovers, But, without him, they don't get the big lead in the first half. They don't get off to a good start. And then they absolutely get crushed in the fourth quarter if Tatum doesn't get it going. Because like everybody was saying, they were on the brink of quitting late in that fourth quarter. But when Jason Tatum sparked a 9-0 run basically by himself in 1 minute, it led to them being back in this game.
All right. Well, I apologize for comparing Tatum to Brady, but I'm not sorry. Also, a friend of the show, Danielle's listening, and shout out to Andre, the Uber driver. This hour of the sports is brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com for 15% off your next drive-through oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, the official oil change of busy people. You want to call in about the Celtics? We're here till midnight tonight. I'm Joe Murray. Cerrone Battles here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
More Joe Murray coming up on the Sports Hub.
fall to Orlando tonight, 95-93. They got a 36-point performance from Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown had 19 points, but dislocated his index finger. They also played without Drew Holiday. Kristaps Porzingis, just 7 points. Game 4 on Sunday. You can hear the game on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Patriots making 2 selections tonight. 3, actually, now. They take Travion Henderson from Ohio State, the running back, in the second round. They follow that up by taking wide receiver Kyle Williams, who played at Washington State last season. And they just made a selection. And how about the Felger and Maz big board hitting once again, taking center Jared Wilson from Georgia. Shador Sanders, still undrafted. Dylan Gabriel, Jalen Milroe, all drafted before him. Red Sox play a doubleheader tomorrow. Headlines, they are brought to you by Safety Insurance. Providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your independent agent about safety. That was me on an island, and I'm Joe Murray.
Listen to it, laugh at it, get mad at it, agree with it, argue about it. It is Boston Sports. Boston Sports. And it is all we do. 98.5, The Sports Hub.
What can you guys do for the rest of the series to kind of try to save yourself, try to stay healthy and get to the next series?
Just get up. Ain't that what Joe told me? Get up, move on to the next play, protect yourself, and just focus on it.
Final hour of the Sports Up here. Cerrone Battle alongside. I wanted to play that one, Cerrone, just to get your thought. It's probably the first time you've heard it, but what'd you think of that quote?
You know what? If they win the championship, that's going to be like their T-shirts all summer.
Get up.
Just get up. I can see it now. I can see that being like a rally. Like they lose a game, you get back up, you get up. I can see them using that for the rest of this run. Hopefully a long run, not too many long series, but hopefully a deep playoff run. And I can see them using this as some kind of way. And I can see the fans really jumping on this, and it's going to be on the next championship video that comes out, documentary, whatever, about this team. And I think that's going to be their little rally cry thing. Just get up. I can absolutely see it.
Tatum on the Missoula get up. I wasn't tripping, he said. I wanted to get up, but it hurt a lot worse than Joe thought it was. It's cool. We move on. We'll just get ready for the next game. So he did comment on it. Also, Jaylen Brown dislocated index finger. That's not good. I don't know which hand it was on. I just put it in Slack.
That was obviously on the play with Cole Anthony, I'm pretty sure.
Correct.
Yeah.
He hit both his free throws after.
Okay, here's my question. What quarter did that happen?
Was that the second quarter?
I think it might have been second quarter when it was on their run, maybe.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
I only remember because I switched rooms. Yeah, that was right before their big run. Yep.
Okay, so he dislocates his finger. I'm pretty sure the doctors and team knew that in the locker room at halftime. Yep, he's got a dislocated finger. Back to coaching. Why would you have him dribbling the ball at any point in the rest of the game with a dislocated finger against the top defense in the league?
So to your point, Tatum and Brown had 13 turnovers. Brown had 6 with an index finger, while Tatum has 2 bad wrists.
Why are you bringing the ball up on a team that knows you're banged up? They're slapping down. Jaylen Brown many times trying to get across half court, trying to dribble by somebody. Dribble off his foot. He did it a few times today. He did it a few times the other game too. Dribbling into traffic. If he has a bad index finger, Jaylen Brown is a very good catch and shoot shooter in the corners, at the free throw line, coming off a curl, whatever, catching on the block and just going straight up, being strong. Orlando was flopping on that a lot too early in the game. But anyway, I'm putting him in action where he's catching and shooting, not bringing the ball up, but dribbling 25, 30 feet away. against a good defense with a bad finger. I'm not doing that to him. And he's got a bad knee. So you got one bad finger, you got a bad knee, and you're asking him against smaller guys to bring the ball up and be agile and quick enough to beat guys that are quicker than him. He's stronger than they are, but to beat guys that are quicker than him. And I think that puts him in a bad spot, and that leads to the turnovers. And it's like, if I know he's got a dislocated finger, okay, scratch all this. We're putting him on the low block. You're going to catch it. You're going to go up. You're going to come off the screen. You're going to shoot a free throw. Your free throw jumper. You're going to get in that corner where you're hot, where you stay hot at, and we're going to find you on a penetration and kick. That's where I'm playing at. I'm not putting the ball in his hands for him to dribble when he has a bad dislocated finger that is probably in serious pain because it happens in this game. But I'm not putting him in that position. If it happened in the fourth quarter, fine, he's out there. But if this happened in the second quarter, you played a whole half. Well, he's in foul trouble. Played most of the third quarter with this finger, and they're out there turning the ball over. I mean, it's that I put that on coaching for putting him in that situation.
So I don't think they are blaming any injuries.
Yeah. Well, I am. I'm not blaming it, but it's like, why would you even put him in that situation?
Yeah. I think you're making a good point. It's Pritchard gave him nothing. So, and I know the guy wanted to call in. Well, he's been sitting. I would have liked to maybe see him handle the ball or White.
Yeah.
Not having Holiday probably showed that tonight, but I think they still could have won the game. But I wanted to bring this up. This is now, I'm only reading this because I think they're starting to play a little gamesmanship with the refs. So I don't know if they're blaming the refs, but let's just hear this quote. Brown says, starting to feel like it's not even basketball, and the refs is not controlling an apartment. So it is what it is. You want to fight it out, we can do that. Fight to see who gets to the second round. So he is. I think that's him putting the refs on notice for the physical style that Orlando's playing. And this is gamesmanship. I'm not going to look at it as they're whining. I watched many coaches do this over the years, whether it was Phil Jackson, Doc Rivers, you name it, they've done it. Pat Riley used to do it all.
Oh, Steve Kerr.
Steve Kerr's a big one, right? Because he'll take all the heat. He'll get thrown out of a game and do it after a game.
Yeah.
So when Jaylen Brown does this as a champion who did it, I'm not looking at it as he's complaining. I just think that this here is them trying to get the refs to kind of shift the series back in their favor and close it out at home.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at situations where Ben Carroll had 3 fouls in the second quarter or something crazy like that. And he didn't pick up another one until the fourth quarter. But yet he's going to the basket. Just, he's playing tough defense. He's banging on the glass. He doesn't get those calls. Wendell Carter's down there hooking people. He's pushing people out the club. He's doing a little bit of everything. He had a couple fouls that should have been called on him against Cornette, but they didn't call. Well, Cornette ends up on the floor. He gets a dunk, and he flexes his shoulders a little bit. And then you come down the other end, and you see Wagner go to the foul line, and you're looking like, well, when did they even touch him? And it's like you allowed him to be physical, but then on the other end, it's like, I think he might have got him on the elbow. We're going to send him to the line. And I get it. They're at home. They're a defensive team. They have that reputation. And it's kind of like they're going to get the benefit of the doubt. It's like Draymond gets credit for being a good defender. Most of the time he's out there just hacking. But because he's Draymond, they kind of let him get away with it. And I think that's what's going on with Orlando in this situation. But the Celtics have to be tougher in some spots. I think they can match their physical play. They can be tougher. There was times where they got in the paint and they kicked it out. That's not being tough. You kind of gave into that. When Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum get in that paint, don't be looking for the threes in the corners. You take that layup. You put pressure on Wendell Carter to get him out of the game. It seems like he never comes out of the game, but you put pressure on those bigs, Isaac, whoever's out there, and you make them foul you, which Orlando's willing to foul. You're going to the foul line, but in key stretches, they're not doing it. And it's like they want to shoot those threes so bad. It's who we are. I know Orlando's taking it away. It's like, no, take what they're giving you. They're giving you the layups, take the layups. But you have to force the refs into, being on your side or giving you those calls by you being aggressive on your end. If you're going to have to slap them around a little bit and make them feel it, so be it. But you have to match their intensity in order to get out of this series in 5 games.
Someone on Twitter just says, please take your green team pants off. Tatum has 2 bad wrists. He does. His left wrist, he should have had surgery on. He didn't. He's played
through it. Just missed
the
game with the other one.
And then he hurt the other one with a severe bone bruise. I tell me where I'm wrong here, please. Just tell me where I'm wrong. And we just brought up the fact that it's Jaylen Brown's left index finger. That left hand. Remember that
left hand? It is.
Yeah. I mean, wow. I don't know what to do tonight, Skez. This is. Are people just watching the games like tonight and did people lose money on this game tonight? Like what happened here? Everything we're saying is factual. We've been critical of the team. Porzingis was bad. Pritchard was bad. The turnovers were bad.
Yeah. We mentioned Tatum's turnovers and how he turned it over and bad turnovers.
And to your point, they have bad finger and 2 bad wrists. They had 13 turnovers combined. I don't know, Scott. I feel like we're just bringing up facts of life here.
Yeah, they stunk tonight and they lost. That's what happens when you turn it over. I mean, you guys have said it. That's what happens when you turn it over 20-plus times, when your 7-footer can't score, when Derek White's not on his game. Tatum, I thought Tatum was good tonight, not great, but you're not going to win when, you're turning the ball over that much, and they were scoreless for almost 6 minutes in the third quarter. It felt like
11 points in the third quarter.
You're not going to win. You don't deserve to win a playoff game scoring 11 points.
And they still had a chance. So I think they'll be fine, but maybe that's just the green teamer in me. But I will say they suck tonight. Can I say that? They sucked and you're a
took this
green
one
teamer.
away.
I mean, is that okay?
But both things can be true. They are the better team. They will win the series, but they were pretty awful tonight.
I just don't think we've said anything that isn't factual.
No, I don't think we said anything about them playing great in any stretch of this game. They had their little moments here or there in the second. Well, no, Jason Tatum had moments in the second quarter and the fourth quarter by building them in the lead. He back-to-back threes. He gets the layup. Then he gets the and one. Then they follow him at three-point line. They follow him at the three-point line again. He finds Al Horford for 3. Responsible for all the big plays. And he's getting it on the glass. He had 9 rebounds again tonight, 13 in game 1. But it's outside of that. I can't say he sit here and played like Magic Johnson. He turned the ball over, being too passive, trying to find shooters in those corners and trying to force it to other guys where he should have been aggressive. That's not being a green team, and that's what happened. I mean, he had a drive to the lane which should have been a dunk. He should have been trying to dunk on somebody. Instead, he gets 3 steps straight to the basket and then tries to throw it out to Hauser in the corner and throws it right to KCP. It would have been a huge momentum swing if he gets that dunk down the lane. That was in the first half. But it's just little things like that he could have did a whole lot better. Jaylen Brown, turn it over, dribbling the ball with a dislocated finger with a bad left hand already, with a bad knee, over dribbling. The announcers were saying standing around, too much dribbling. Everybody was pointing it out. It's just not being a green team. It's calling out what happened. I'm sorry. Go ahead, George.
No, I was going to say, I could say that he scored 30-something points with 2 bad wrists, and that will be...
Yeah, with the wrist symbol.
Is that true, too? I mean, he turned the ball over because of 2 bad wrists. He also scored 30 points because of 2 bad wrists. Guys, this happens. They're playing a team that's not good. They're playing a team that... No, actually, I'll give them credit. They can defend. They're defending the 3, and they're not letting the Celtics get in transition. So I'll give them credit for that. But I think they're a bunch of bums that have to play this way because they're not talented enough. Mm-hmm. And, if you want to call the Celtics soft, that's on you, bro. I've watched this team now for years. And there was a time, Cerrone, where they couldn't get over the hump. There was. Mm-hmm. But that changed last year with Porzingis and Jaylen Brown actually playing to his potential. But right now they are heading into the playoffs with Jaylen Brown with his knee injury, and they've happened to get an injury to Jason Tatum. And, hey, tonight...
Andrew Holiday didn't even play.
their best defender. And, I'm just going to say, I think Pritchard and Porzingis didn't play well, and that's probably why they lost.
Yeah, it's that simple. If I said it earlier in the show, if Pritchard or just one of them, if Pritchard or Porzingis has an average night, this game is over and this series is over. But they didn't. They all had below average nights. I thought Al Horford was physical. I thought Cornette was down there banging. He rebounded for you. He got you 6 points, a couple of dunks or whatever, layup in the lane. I thought he played well. He gave you something off the bench. But other than that, everybody else was kind of below average, They weren't playing their game. They weren't comfortable, against this team on the road. And they haven't been comfortable in Orlando in the last 2 years. But they had their chance. They had their opportunities. But they need to play better. They need to play better as a team. And if Hauser and Pritchett and all these other role players, if they find this shot, they're going to beat Orlando by 30. It's literally that simple, because Wagner and Banchero, they can't play any better than what they've been playing right now. And again, they can't let up. If one of those guys has an off night, they have no shot of beating the Celtics. And right now, through 3 games, they've had it going. But I think the Celtics still should have won this game tonight, despite all the issues that they had. And they blew it late. They made bad decisions and took bad shots. They blew it. Bad coaching. Bad all the way around. But they still had the chance to win this game.
Somebody named FF Expert on Twitter wants me to tell everybody that in the final 4 minutes of the game, Tatum went 0 for 3 with 2 turnovers and 1 assist, and wants to know why we consider him clutch. And since we're using facts, he wants us to use the same facts.
Because he's got the most points, you mentioned earlier, of any player with 5 minutes left in games. And the reason they don't count the last 30 seconds, because if Jason Tatum hits back-to-back threes in a game with 2-3 minutes left, the game is over by the time it gets to the last 30 seconds. So that's why they don't count the last 30 seconds in these stats, because most games are over and they're just holding the ball, killing clock, and celebrating with 30 seconds left in games. If you have a great fourth quarter, there's usually no 30 seconds to count these things. And you want to go through all the great legendary buzzer. You looking for guys to make buzzer. This is when people say clutch. Well, he doesn't make buzzer beat. You know who won the clutch player of the year? It's Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
You see his record against good teams? Was he 0-15 against teams with, that above the 3 seed?
Yeah.
But you call him clutch, though. But he couldn't beat Jason Tatum.
Yeah. Again, we got experts, who don't do this every night. Cerrone, you know what I mean? It's just, we just
you have experts who don't watch anybody else.
Yeah, we're green teamers because nobody mentioned Jason Tatum's wrist all year long. I don't know. There was a report he should have had surgery. He decided not to. Do you not want me to? Should I bring up the report or no?
They've been bringing up that wrist for 3 years.
I don't even know what to do anymore. You guys only watch when you want to watch, and when they lose, you want to complain. When they win, I don't hear from any of you. I can't do this anymore. I'm done. It's Friday.
Get ready, Joe. It's only the first round.
I know.
It's only the first. And if they're calling him out on a night where he has 34, 36 points and goes 100% from the foul line on 12 attempts and shoots 40% from 3, imagine what happens when he really has a cold night or against a team a little with higher stakes down the line. It's going to happen, but people who complain and call, they only watch Jason Tatum. So he's not clutch compared to Michael Jordan. Well, nobody is. Mm-hmm. Well, he's not clutch compared to Larry Bird. Well, not everybody's not Larry Bird, but compared to the Anthony Edwards and all these other guys in the league who you want to put ahead of him, yeah, he's better. Yeah, he is. It is what it is. He's going to be first team All NBA again. He's favored to win a championship again. And it's basically because of him. It's that simple. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I don't know, Joe.
Yeah, I'm going to say it. I feel like on this station, and I don't speak for everybody else, but I just think that the narratives are Tatum soft, Brown is better. And when it comes to the playoffs, Brown is better and Tatum soft. And I just would like to let everybody know, if you watched tonight, Jason Tatum kept the team in the game, didn't get the ball late in the game on the final shot. And literally when they were down, 9 points, he kept them in the game. I don't know what to do anymore. I'm going to give up.
He was responsible for the 9-0 run that happened in 1 minute.
Yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. Like the old, who was it from the 85 Bears? Mike Singletary, can't do it. Won't do it.
Won't do it. Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe at some point we'll turn our eyes over to the NFL draft just to stop this. I think everything's fine, Cerrone. We got to go to break, but everything's fine. Everything's fine. We'll go to break. You listen to 98.5 The Sports.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. On the way.
we're rolling on like Elliott Wolf and Ryan Cowden, and the Celtics lost a playoff game. So, I apologize, but I'm not sorry that we spent 90 minutes on a Celtics loss and have not talked about the draft. But I think our priority is the playoffs, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right now, yeah. We're months away from week 1, so I think we can focus on a little playoff basketball just for 1 hour and a half here.
Yeah. All right. So tonight the Patriots they've gone all offensive in the draft. Mm-hmm. Travion Henderson, Ohio State, scored on that screen pass in the national championship game, 42 touchdowns. What do you think about him in the second round?
Man, I was overjoyed, Joe, because I've been screaming for the last 2 years to take a running back and not just get one in the 5th or 6th round just to put a guy on the roster. I've been begging for them to go out and get a playmaker, get somebody who not only you can hand the ball off to, but somebody that the defense has to worry about, somebody that they're scared of. Like if this dude gets the ball in the screen pass here, he's gone. Or if he breaks one, he makes a guy miss on a simple dive play, he's gone. Somebody could be a threat in the pass game. Somebody the defense has to worry about, when they're game planning, for you all week. And they finally went and got that guy, an explosive guy. He kind of reminds me of a younger version of Austin Eckler. Ooh. The kind of way he moves and runs. And, if he's any close to peak Austin Eckler, then they really got something here. But I think it's key. It's a way to protect your quarterback. It's the way to make you balanced. Ramondre Stevenson, I'm not saying he's washed, but if you have more balance there to where you're not relying on him to carry the load so much. Okay, now you have a little, a little power here, a little speed, a little bit, and the kid doesn't turn the ball over. He played at Ohio State. He played in a conference where it's cold weather, where it snows, it gets icy, it gets wet. So he'll be an easy transition here. No one knows him better than Vrabel. He knows everything about the kid because of the ties with Ohio State. And I'm here for it, and I'm glad they went and got a running back and addressed it early and went up there and got a prime running back as opposed to just a guy to fill the roster spot. So I'm happy they went that way, and I hope they get back to being a balanced, I would say a run first team, but a balanced team on offense.
They went wide receiver next. Kyle Williams played at UNLV, then Washington State, played with Cam Ward at one point. Career, 248 receptions, 3,600 yards, 29 touchdowns. Had 14 last year. So Washington State had a little bit of a transition year. Mm-hmm. But, dude, this dude would just catch the ball and go.
He's electric.
Yeah. So I think that's why they like him, because of the yards after catch, or like, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know much more about him, but I do know that leaving UNLV, going to Washington State, I know they had some quarterback issues with the Cam Ward stuff. But overall, this dude was productive with multiple different quarterbacks at 2 different schools. And, they had other wide receivers. They chose him.
I mean, I think he's going to be a fan favorite early. I mean, if you go back and just look at all his highlights from the Senior Bowl, the way he was making people miss, he's so fast, man. It's just straight ahead speed, lateral speed. His quickness, get open in the phone booth. He is extremely fast. Same thing with the running back situation. This is a guy who we've all been saying this, a threat, a guy that you throw a screen pass to, a quick slant. And if the defender falls or he breaks free, that 7-8 yard gain now is 30-40 yards. And they haven't had a guy like that in a really long time. And by the moves they made on the offensive line, they picked up a center, left tackle, right tackle in free agency. Now Drake May, instead of having a second and a half to throw the ball, now this kid might have 2 seconds, 3 seconds. And it's not just Drake May having time. It's now these receivers have time for double moves, multiple moves. And now, you can see these guys that they picked up being able to be playmakers on this offense. And I think it helps guys like Pop Douglas, who's just as shifty, in my opinion, but he never really had the time. He never, he had one move, and that's all he really had. If Drake May has time with the shifty guys they have now on this offense, they can be very explosive at key moments. I know it's going to take time. They're all young. They're rookie, second year, third year guys, whatever. But when they get it going, they get it figured out, they can be a really explosive offense going forward. So I can't be mad at anything they've done in this draft. I'm pretty hyped for everything they've done. And I think everybody's feeling the same way.
It was the Holiday Bowl this year. Syracuse, Washington State. I only remember it because I took the over and there was 87 points scored in the game. But Kyle Williams had 10 catches for 172 yards and 1 touchdown for 66 yards. So
yeah.
Pretty big game. I just remember that because Kyle McCord scored the 5 touchdowns, and everybody started talking about him potentially being a draft pick, which we'll get into the quarterbacks in a second here. But the final pick of the day was, it was the Felger Maz big board. It hit. Center from Georgia, Jared Wilson. To me, in my opinion, this is just my opinion. What do I know? I know you guys have been doing the football show. Best center in the country.
Yeah.
Goes in the 4th round. And David
There's going to be some GMs working on networks in about 6 months, man. I could just feel it. It was a weird draft, but yeah, he slid that far. I'm glad he did, and I'm glad the Patriots went out there and didn't hesitate once he was available.
Best center in the so they basically drafted a guy who's won a national championship. I'm just trying to think. Did everybody play? No, Washington State played in a bowl. But LSU had a good. I mean, these are all guys that have played competitively. All put up big production. Again, the center here was projected to be the best center in the country, and was somewhat of a backup his first couple of years with Georgia. This year started every game. There's talks that he could be versatile. Not just the center, but maybe play some guard too. So, hey, I'm in on the offense. I think that they have found guys with speed. This isn't find fast guys. You want to get fast, find fast guys. I like what they've done, and I wish I could be critical of it. By the way, just one other thing on this: the moves today make the Will Campbell move feel better.
Now it all makes sense.
Yeah, exactly right. Like you know what else? It all helps Drake May, right?
That's the point. That's the name of the game. You think about the whole offseason. You add free agency, add the draft. They get the center from Minnesota. You get what's his name from the Jets, Moses, to play right tackle.
Yep.
You draft Will Campbell. You go on and draft another center. You go get a running back. This is all about winning the trenches. I think that was the theme of this whole draft. The first few rounds is all about the trenches. You saw D tackles and guards and right tackles, left tackles flying off the board. Running backs, going off the board. I mean, Amarian Hampton going to the Chargers, but that was a great move. Genty, you're seeing the running backs go. Both Ohio State running backs go. It's all about the trenches. And he said wide receivers were available a little later than expected because everybody went with the trenches. It's kind of it's a copycat league. And look at the champs. Philadelphia, tush push, run the football. Saquon Barkley. Look at Baltimore, one of the dominant teams, run the football. Kansas City ran the football. Mahomes had a down year, but they still ran the football. Buffalo got better this year because they ran the football, and Josh Allen's turnovers all of a sudden just magically disappeared because they were a balanced team. And I think that's where the league is going. Detroit, with double running backs and powerful in the trenches, was dominant all year because they could run the football and be balanced. And I think that's where the league is going back to the way it used to be. And I think the Patriots have to be in the middle of that. And by the way they address the offseason and, picking up D tackles in free agency, right tackle, center, draft left tackle, draft center, draft running back, signed linebacker from the Raiders. They went with the trenches and being dominant in the middle, and that's the way you win football games, and I can't be mad at anything they've done this offseason.
I would say that I would rather Campbell, Henderson, center of the future, and wide receiver development more than trading back and getting blank or this or that. So I haven't taking
a kick in the 4th round, Joe?
maybe who knows? They need a kicker.
That's true. You might want to get one this year in the 4th round.
But I don't want to say it's a good draft yet because they got to play the games.
You got to play, yeah.
But the fact that they have between their quarterback and left tackle under rookie deals, a running back that's going to be 4 years under contract, they're going to have multiple wide receivers between Polk. And now Williams under 4-year contracts, 4-year offensive line. Like they got so many players that they can develop under rookie deals.
Yeah,
that they should be spending money next year and become more attractive.
Yeah, And I think they'll have the opportunity to, because I think their schedule is going to be pretty favorable. And I think they're going to have games where they're going to look like world beaters from time to time. And people are going to be like, well, that looks like a team I want to be a part of. They look fun. And if these rookies they picked up, these speed burner guys, these playmakers, if they show any flashes of that, they're going to be a real sexy team to a lot of free agents come the next year or two. And they're going to be in it. Now you got to stay healthy, but I think offensive line depth is key. I think their defense is going to be really, really good. And they've addressed the obvious needs on this team through the free agency and through draft. Now it's all about player development. Now it's on the coaches. Now we have to worry about all these assistant coaches and these strength and conditioning guys and these special coaches. Now it's all up to them to develop these guys and take them to the next level and have these guys ready to go week one. And not just the guys they drafted and picked up. You got to develop Polk and Baker. Those guys are under contract. There's nothing you can really do about it.
I hope it's Wallace. I think Wallace can still play too.
Yeah.
There is a bunch of guys from last year's team I think that should take a next step.
Yeah, I think they will. And I think there'll be a better opportunity. Look, you're not playing your first 2 months of the season with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, hampering the offense, keeping everybody from really excelling.
Yep.
So you come in a situation where you got Drake May with a full off season under him now, with the confidence, with protection, and his offense. He's being groomed to run this offense the way they want it. And now these receivers, if I want to be at training camp just to see these guys compete for these receiver spots, because somebody's going to get left out. Keyshawn Boutte, is Kendrick Bourne. Somebody's going to get left out of this situation. And I want to see how competitive it looks now with Drake May being the primary guy throwing the ball to these guys at training camp.
All right. Well,
Stephon Diggs, I forgot about him.
That's all I remember him. He's pretty good. So Dylan Gabriel went before Shedeur Sanders. Five quarter. All right. I don't understand.
They issued the code red, Joe.
Yeah. So Mel Kiper's getting criticized for criticizing every team in the league. Adam Schefter just went on a huge rant. So from afar, dude, I have him going in the fourth round, potentially, or fifth round. There's got to be more than football. What do you think it is?
It's got to be. I don't know what it. I always said if his last name was Williams instead of Sanders, he would have went top 5. It's just this. You heard a lot of people say putting things out. Oh, he did a bad interview, and he did all these other things. I didn't like his body language. These are none of the things you heard from his teammates, or anybody who's been around him. And they say he's a really good friend to these guys. He's a cool dude. You'd never hear about. Here's the hypocrisy, Joe. Oh, he might have character issues. I don't like the way he interviewed. Some of these guys literally just drafted dudes who just got arrested, Joe. These guys who the kid Nolan, he tackling police officers after getting caught speeding, and it's like, oh, he goes first round. Well, wait a minute, I thought this is about character. So you're mad because he flashed his watch, even though all these teams in the country give out turnover chains every time there's a big play? It's like, come on with the hypocrisy. Okay, well, he's too small. Dylan Gabriel? What's he, 5'10", Joe? Come on now.
I don't know what world Tyler Shaw gets drafted over Shedeur Sanders. I don't know
he's about to
He's like 28 years old, dude, or whatever.
He played college football for 7 years and finally got a chance to start this year. 7 years, and you took him first. The kid was the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year. Many thought he could have got a Heisman invite. He completed. He got to get better with his accuracy and his timing. He completed 74% of his throws behind the worst offensive line probably any of us have ever seen, with no running game. Completed 70%. His number one target was his corner, and he was still lighting it up, Joe. He only turned it over 13 times his whole college career. It's like, what more does he have to do? And it's like, oh, I don't like his arrogance and all this other stuff. Look, the dude, and here's the other part. A lot of these guys will do these interviews and all these whatever. They like to go in there and throw and attack these players' sad stories and see how they react and get on the fact that they want to be in the league. They want to make money and bring their families out of certain situations. But for the first time, they had a kid that had an interview that doesn't need their money. I don't need you. What are you going to ask me? I'm already rich. I was rich before I played college football. And they're like, yeah, but we don't know what a kid is like this or like that. So why are you waiting on Arch Manning, who's in the Manning tree, who's coming out of the same situation, who's done nothing, by the way? And they're like, oh, let's wait till next year to get Manning. Oh, so you want to wait till the other rich kid that comes into the league who's played under this thing of being with their famous last name and all this other stuff. Oh, you're going to wait on him. Like he's just not going to be cocky and arrogant because, he's not a Sanders kid. But Shedeur Sanders did everything he's supposed to do on the football field. With that team, no one expected him to be that good. And there's no way you go from January, people saying this kid could go number 1, to now saying, oh, no, I didn't like his interview. Let's go pick random quarterbacks just so we avoid picking this dude. Now, I don't understand it, and there's something wrong. And then good for Mel Kiper for sticking up for him because Mel Kiper's the only one that didn't switch. Everybody had him as a top 5 pick for the last 2 years, and Mel Kiper's the only one that stuck to that, and they're mad at him because he didn't switch it up. I can't figure it out, Joe. Dylan, Gabe, stop it. Jalen Milroe.
And also, just to Cerrone's point, wasn't his draft over under like 3.5? Like not rounds. Like we're saying like pick like 3.5.
21. Yeah. Something's going on here. This isn't about his ability. It's not.
No.
It's not. Maybe.
But Joe, again, there are guys, not just this draft, the previous drafts, who have literally had run-ins with the law on probation. And these same guys that said he has character issues drafted these guys and put them on their teams. It doesn't make any. And you never hear about anything when it comes to off the field with him. He's at home playing Minecraft with Travis Hunter all the time. That's all he does. And goes fishing with his father. And they're like, oh, he's got character issues. Like, what? Are you serious? Come on now. Come on.
Bronny James got drafted higher than Shedeur Sanders. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
That's a good point.
We're just gonna end the show on that one. Mic drop. Cerrone, great job, man. You on this weekend?
Yeah, I'm on tomorrow. Me and Leroy.
Yeah,
2 to 5. And I'm on with Alex Sunday morning. He's gonna be fired up for that one.
All right, tell Leroy I said what's up. Cerrone, great job, man. We'll catch up probably next week, Tuesday night.
All right, man. I'll talk to you.
Appreciate you, bud. Skaz, thank you, sir. Jake, excellent job as well.